What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. First off, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Be thankful for whatever you're doing. Thank to the iPhones, thank to God, thank to Android, thank to iOS, thank to whoever you believe in, whoever you want to, whatever you want, I don't really care. We're going to be comparing the iPhone 11 to the Samsung Galaxy A20. Now I did the 11 Pro versus A20 and I didn't even mean to do that video. I meant to do the A50, but I guess that's what we got, so I gotta drop it now. But there's a lot of differences between both of these phones. Now obviously the iPhone 11 is probably the better one, but here's the thing, the iPhone 11 has some weird things going for it too, and I'm not going to say it's a perfect phone. There's definitely some cool advantages, and it is more expensive. The iPhone 11 is pretty much selling for $699 still. Even in the used market, it's still really expensive. The A20 though has been out since March, so it's been out for a little bit longer than iPhone 11, and you can pick up an A20 probably, like I picked mine up for like $200. You can probably pick one up for probably even cheaper on eBay or something. So between both of these phones, there's a lot of differences, and even just looking at the front, I mean, the Samsung Galaxy A20 has a 6.4 inch Super AMOLED display. That resolution is 720p by 1560. The iPhone 11 has a 6.1 inch IPS liquid retina display, whatever that is. That resolution is 828 by 1792. Now, technically speaking, okay, the iPhone 11 has more pixels per inch, meaning it's less pixelated, but I personally do kind of like the Samsung Galaxy A20's display because it is an AMOLED. Even though it's technically lower resolution than the iPhone 11, I still kind of like it, and it's a bigger display as well. But here's the other thing. The screen to body ratio is higher on the Samsung Galaxy A20, so you're getting more screen on the A20 versus the iPhone 11. There's only a 79% screen to body ratio on the iPhone 11. So technically, you know, the iPhone 11's display is higher pixelated and more pixels and all that. The Galaxy A20 has the better looking display in my opinion, but you know, they're pretty close. You do have that Infinity V display on the A20 where you have that notch on the iPhone 11, both notches, but it's less on the A20. Looking on the back, we do have a fingerprint sensor on the A20, which is an interesting choice, and a dual camera setup on both of these phones, and I'll get into them in a second, but I do think the iPhone 11's is better. Looking on the bottom, USB Type-C on the A20 as well as a headphone jack, and only the Lightning port on the iPhone 11, and that pretty much covers it up in terms of the outside. No IP certification for the A20, but you do have IP68 dust and water resistance on the iPhone 11, which is pretty interesting. Now, feeling the phones and actually feeling them in the hand in day-to-day use, the iPhone 11 does feel like the more premium device. The A20 doesn't feel necessarily like a cheap device, and it's really interesting to see how we've come with like budget phones with Samsung. Even like if you remember a couple years ago, they were releasing some really weird budget phones, and whenever you would go to Best Buy or Walmart, you would always see these random phones, and they just didn't look that good. The A20 knocked it out of the park in my opinion in terms of looks and even the feel. So for $200, you're getting quite a bit of a package on the A20. The iPhone 11 though, I think still feels like the more premium device like I've stated. So that kind of, you kind of give it the benefit of the doubt there. So moving on to the software side of things, the iPhone 11 Pro got iOS 13, okay, and it's going to go on for forever. The Samsung Galaxy A20 started off with Android Pie with their One UI. It is going to get Android 10. We got that notification yesterday from Samsung that it's going to get it. But here's the thing. I don't know if it's going to go any further than that. It could. I don't know Samsung A series that well. I know their S series, but I don't know their A series. And if I had to say it, I would assume that it's probably not going to get the next version of Android on top of Android 10. So it's not going to get Android 11 in my opinion. Now it could be totally wrong, but that's kind of what I'm assuming. Whereas on the iPhone 11, think about this. This phone will not only outlast the A20, it'll outlast the successor of the A20, and it'll probably outlast that successor as well. So with the iPhone 11, you're getting quite a bit of a package in my opinion. On top of that, with the Samsung Galaxy A20 though, one thing you have to keep in mind, it is an Android device, so you can root it, you can custom ROM it. So whenever ROMs and custom ROMs and all those things do come out, you will have that ability on the Samsung Galaxy A20 where you do not have that on the iPhone 11. So that is a very, very important thing to note. But on top of that, stock software support, the iPhone 11 will win without a doubt. Moving on to the performance side of things, the Samsung Galaxy A20 has the Exynos 7884 chipset, an octa-core CPU, and 3 GB of RAM, where the iPhone 11 has the Apple A13 Bionic chip, a hexa-core CPU with 4 GB of RAM. So more RAM and pretty much more power in my opinion than the Samsung Galaxy A20. Let's go and see which one is the faster device. I did a speed comparison. If I had to say it, I'd probably say the iPhone 11 is the faster one, but I could be wrong. So let's see which one is the faster one in the speed comparison. Alright guys, back to the speed comparison. Now the Galaxy A20 is on the right, this iPhone 11 is on the left, and there's definitely pros and cons for both of them, but let's go and see which one is the faster one. All the apps are cleared out in the background. I have most of the same apps on both these devices, so let's go and start loading them up. Let's do Netflix. 3, 2, 1. As you can see, the iPhone 11 got into it noticeably faster. Look how long it's taking on the A20. That took quite a bit of time, to be honest. Let's do snake versus blocks. 3, 2, 1. As you can see, the iPhone 11 got into it, and the A50 got into it shortly after, getting into some gameplay. They look to be about the same. This is a very basic game. This is nothing too crazy going on with it, so that one kind of answers that one. Let's do BOFA. 3, 2, 1. And actually the A50 got into it faster. I noticed this with all my other Android devices. The Bank of America app is faster on the Androids than on iOS, which is kind of funny. Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And you can see the iPhone 11 noticeably faster. I mean, the A20 is still loading. Eventually we do get into it, and then the iPhone 11 is already loaded all the way. The A20 is still loading. Now it's going to take its time. As you can see, we're loaded. Let's get into some actual gameplay. And you can see, they're about the same. This is not even that intensive of a game. So let's do Facebook. 3, 2, 1. iPhone 11 fully loaded already. The A20 taking its time, as usual. Still loading. It's still going to take a while. Okay, eventually we do get into it. It took a minute, though. Let's see if we have the Gram pre-installed, and for some reason we don't. Let's do the original Temple Run. 3, 2, 1. And as you can see, we have to resume our main menu on this one. And I'll go ahead and redo this one, actually. Temple Run again. 3, 2, 1. And you can see iPhone 11 loaded in. A20 shortly after. Let's get into some gameplay again. And you can see, they're about the same again. It's a very basic app. Let's do Paper A2. 3, 2, 1. As you can see, the iPhone 11 got into it faster. Let's get into some gameplay. And you can see, actually, they're about the same speed and everything. I'm surprised. This game used to be so glitchy, but actually pretty decent on both. I was expecting it to be a lot glitchier on the A20, but it's really not. Let's do stack. 3, 2, 1. I might have a pop-up. I knew it. So we'll give it like a 1 millisecond leeway on the A20. It still ended up mad. See, these many pop-ups. There's no reason that there needs to be these many pop-ups, but the iPhone 11 technically won that. Let's go and end it off with the real racing. 3, 2, 1. And for some reason, it always freaks out and it makes me think I didn't actually even download it or click it or something like that. As you can see, we are way ahead on the iPhone 11. Seems to be almost a tie. And the iPhone 11 is fully loaded. I hope we don't have to download anything on here because I already... Okay, so we do get into it eventually on the A20. So to kind of sum up the thing, I think the iPhone 11 overall is the faster iPhone or the faster phone between these two. A20 still holds its own, man. It's not even that expensive of a phone, and it still does this type of speed and performance. I think it's still a win for the A20 in my opinion. So let's go back to all the rest of the comparison. Wow, guys, that was amazing. That was probably the best speed comparison I've ever seen. Okay, now moving on to the camera side of things. Like I said, dual camera setups on both of these phones. The Samsung Galaxy A20 has a 13 megapixel sensor and then a 5 megapixel ultra wide sensor. I don't know why they made the ultra wide sensors lower megapixels than the main one, but whatever. The iPhone 11 has a 12 megapixel wide angle lens and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. So technically speaking, in my opinion and in my use case, I have seen that the iPhone 11 has the overall better camera sensors. It looks better, it feels better, all that stuff. You are able to even shoot 4K at up to 60 frames per second, where on the A20, as far as I know, you can only do 1080p at up to 30 frames per second, which is really weird. So between both of these, I'll definitely tell you the iPhone 11 wins without a doubt. But here's the other thing, and the other side of the coin. The Samsung Galaxy A20 does have quite a bit of more features built into the camera app than the iPhone 11. So even though the iPhone 11 is like way better and all that stuff, you do have more ability, in my opinion, in some cases than the iPhone 11. Most cases though, the iPhone 11 definitely wins. So without going into too much detail, the iPhone 11 definitely has a better camera sensors in my opinion. And ending off with the battery life, this is where things get a little interesting. The iPhone 11 has a 3110 mAh battery. The Samsung Galaxy A20 has a 4000 mAh battery. And in my opinion, I do think the iPhone 11 has a little bit better battery life than the Samsung Galaxy A20, even though the A20 has a bigger battery and has, lower specs and all that stuff, whatever. The iPhone 11 definitely wins in my opinion because iOS right now is more optimized. I feel like with the 11 Pro, it didn't catch up as much to the A20 that I thought, because of that lower resolution display the A20 has, but both these phones do have low resolution displays, and in my opinion, standby time is better on the 11 as well as using time is better on the iPhone 11 as well. So to kind of sum up this whole entire comparison, I think more so than just saying the iPhone 11 is the better phone, because in my opinion, I do think the iPhone 11 is the better phone between both of these, but I'm really happy to see the improvements of these budget phones. Samsung Galaxy A20, you're getting quite a bit of a package with just getting, this cheap of a phone, and I'm really happy for Samsung releasing phones like this. These two phones were never meant to be like kind of compared side by side, but I'm really happy to see how Samsung really kind of knocked out of the park with the Samsung Galaxy A20. So if you want to pick up an A20, I'll find the cheapest one on Amazon and I'll link it down straight in the description below so you guys can help support the channel at the same time. But that is pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, leave it down in the comment section as well. Hit that like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it would mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate it if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.